Hello everybody, my name's Novi and welcome back to the channel. Wrestling as an industry can take many different shapes and sizes. From shoot promotions in Japan, to ones that do death matches, to even the industry standard version of it we see in the US broadly today. It can really be anything, and over the years, it has been everything. This is a fact that remains true for the wrestlers that compete in these promotions too. You can look at any roster from around the world and find wrestlers who embody so many different aspects of wrestling. This sport is subjective though, and there's plenty of those that don't work for certain fans. The one I want to focus on today is known to cause a lot of discussion, especially these days. Because even though it's become so popular over the years that you see it just as much as you see anything else, some people just can't do it. I'm talking about meme wrestlers, a part of wrestling that has taken over the landscape in a lot of different ways. Now, let me be clear before we talk about this topic. I'm not coming on here to hate on all meme wrestlers or meme wrestling. I'm not trying to tell you that they're the worst thing to ever exist. I just want to go over some of the problems that I have with meme wrestlers nowadays, and explain why I think certain parts of the wrestling fanbase has lost the plot when it comes to discussing them broadly. But before we dive into it all, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for live streams, match reviews, and new videos just like these, where we're always talking grabs. To start, I want to look back on when things started to change for meme wrestlers. And the time that I've pinpointed is actually 2010's WWE. Back then, the promotion as a whole was ice cold for the most part, which is due to plenty of different factors that I'm sure many others could cover much better than I could, but it got so bad to where even the main event scene was cold. That's not to say things wouldn't come along and get things going, but by and large, fans were indifferent to it all. That is, aside from one part of the shows. There was a set of people, a type of wrestler, if you will, that they would latch onto and pop for more than anything else. Of course, I'm talking about meme wrestlers like Santino Marella, Enzo Amore, Zack Ryder, and other people along those lines. The fans at the time just didn't really care about the wrestling. That's not something that they were really into and really wanted to see. All they wanted to see was how Damien Mizdow would copy The Miz that week. And look, there's plenty to be said about the gimmicks of that era and the booking choices of the promotion as a whole, but what I'm talking about here was a big part of the programming at the time, and it's something that's continued into the modern day. Only now, it's grown and it's morphed into people wanting to see those kinds of wrestlers get actual big pushes. I think the best example of this on the WWE side right now is obviously Joe Hendry, who fans chose to latch onto after NXT started working with TNA. Really because that partnership introduced a whole new audience to him and to his act. A lot of people already knew about his songwriting gimmick because he's been doing it his whole career, but when that side of the wrestling world got their hands on it, they started to make their jokes. Say his name and he appears became a meme, which to me makes him a meme wrestler. Not because the meme just generally exists, but more so because that's the thing that people know him for now. Their minds don't go to his wrestling, and they don't even go to his promos. And it's one of the biggest issues with people's infatuation with these meme wrestlers. People love them so much and ride for them no matter what, without being honest about what they realistically have to offer. Joe Hendry hasn't cut notable promos throughout his career, and he sure as hell hasn't been having classic matches, which to me says that people like him almost solely for his theme song. Which isn't to say that meme wrestlers or just wrestlers in general should be having mat classics all of the time, but it's like I said before, people shouldn't try to pretend like they're more than what they are either. This same sentiment rings true on the other side of the fence as well, because AEW certainly isn't short on meme wrestlers nowadays, and they haven't been throughout their entire 5-year run, with those acts even reaching the highest heights within the company, such as the Acclaimed, who were tag champs for 140 days and trios champs for 238, both very long and very notable reigns no matter how you slice it. The more notable of the two though is that tag title reign, so I want to hone in on that. They became the tag champs after defeating Swerve and Our Glory in 2022, but that was on their second try. The first time that match was run, the fans just got so behind the Acclaimed to where even though they had lost, the match became such a clear indication to how over they really were that AEW was left with no choice but to do the switch. The question I want to ask though is how they got over in the first place. I would say it all started when people started to take a liking to the rap part of their gimmick back when they were working as heels. And it got to a point where people liked it so much, it only made sense to turn them babyface. Soon after they did that, Daddy Ass, or Billy Gunn, would be brought into the fold, which then led to scissoring becoming a main part of the act, which is the aspect of the group that took them from a fun tag team to a meme act in my opinion. Anthony Bowens is a great wrestler. Max Caster, not so much. But it was around this time that people stopped looking forward to their matches. And like what happened with Hendry and his theme song, crowds only wanted to participate in the scissor me daddy ass bit. AEW wasn't wrong for capitalizing on the fan support. And truthfully, the Acclaimed deserved to win those tag belts all that time ago. But that doesn't mean that every fun act in wrestling deserves to hold the gold. There's levels to the game, and there's levels to the popularity. The Acclaim becoming champs at that time was a perfect storm in a lot of ways. And now it's become a big problem with people trying to create storms like that all the time. The main act that's happening with now is actually another tag team that's rising in popularity just like the Acclaim did, the Outrunners. Now, I'll be real here, as I always am with my audience. I think the act is really fun. And I also think that their popularity is justified because they've committed to this bit in every which way. I have very much enjoyed those old school videos where they're working out at the gym. They pop me pretty huge. And the way that they've gotten organically popular is always a positive. I'm not here to deny that. But like I said a little before, just because people have taken a liking to them doesn't mean they should now beat the Young Bucks, which is a growing sentiment that I'm seeing in the IWC right now. And it's something I warned about on Twitter just over a month ago. The Outrunners are a fun team. They're charismatic and oh so unique, but those aren't necessarily great reasons that they should be pushed to the main event, especially when it's all you're relying on. I've seen so many people get told that they should insert some joy into their lives just for having that take. So to get ahead of it here, I'm not saying they shouldn't be featured. I think they're absolutely perfect for the mid-card, a very over babyface duo for rising tag teams to beat and to feud with as they ascend up the card. But I'm firm in my belief that that's as high as they should go. Not because they're a bad team or anything like that, but because I think there's a ceiling to what an act like theirs can be, especially when they're a team not known for having great matches or anything like that. I'd be remiss to not also mention a team that's very similar in almost every single way to the Outrunners, MXM Collection, who, just like their counterparts, are a fun, very unique tag team that has a really high floor on the TV. Their memes aren't for everyone because, they are known to touch tips and things of that nature. But aside from all that, they're just solid workers and would work best in the mid-card. And I think just like the Outrunners, that's about as high as they should go. Because again, just like the Outrunners, there's a ceiling to what an act like that can be. But let's say, for example, one of the big two promotions conforms to the memes. It's for sure happened before. There's countless examples that I can pull from, but I want to take a look at one that happened just earlier this year in a match that we saw because of the memes. On a random episode of Monday Night Raw, Seth Rollins battled Jinder Mahal for the world title. At the time, fans were advocating for Jinder Mahal, who hadn't wrestled on the TV in over a year, to win the world title during WrestleMania season, no less, because one, they wanted to own Tony Khan for what he said about Jinder at the time, but also because of the whole don't hinder Jinder thing. A movement that you wouldn't think got as over as it did, but it was a real movement. And I feel like it's one of the best examples of why fans being so into meme wrestling sucks. That match didn't accomplish anything. In fact, Seth pretty much blew his knee out during it, which almost cost him his WrestleMania spot. And that's something that only happened because WWE caved to the internet's love for meme wrestling. And I think now is the perfect time to bring up something else people respond to these criticisms with. Orange Cassidy is a meme and he got pushed. This is a sentiment that I always hate, because it shows me that people don't know the difference between a comedy wrestler and a wrestler who can also do comedy. OC has always been presented as a funny wrestler since day one, but he's also always been fantastic in the ring from day one. He's a great wrestler who's had many great matches, something you can't say for almost any actual meme wrestlers. And it's a big reason why, even with all the comedy, which he still does a good bit of, he's still very relevant to this day. The comedy isn't necessarily as over as it once was, but it's never been something he's had to rely on to get the fans behind him. Something that I think a lot of meme wrestlers do. It's a part of Orange Cassidy that you just have to give him credit for, because eventually, like all memes do, those wrestlers will fall out of favor if the meme is all they rely on. And he's been able to show everyone that that's not just who he is. This is the main guy when it comes to meme wrestlers nowadays, so I don't mind bringing him up again, but just by looking at the Google Trends, you can see that Joe Hendry's popularity is diminishing. That's not to say that this one statistic says everything about him or his acclaim, but it is hard evidence to support what I've been saying about meme wrestlers. If the meme is all they rely on, they're not gonna last forever. But now that I think we've covered all sides of this topic, I'll close with this. Memes in wrestling can bring acts to great heights, whether that's titles, main events, or just general popularity. But if the meme is the only thing that brings them to those heights, it's not gonna last forever. And it's why they shouldn't be put in those big roles. Can these acts be fun, enjoyable, and even make you laugh once in a while? Yes. Do these meme wrestlers have a place in the major promotions? Absolutely. But all I ask is for people to enjoy them for what they are. Memes, meme wrestlers, meme wrestling all has a place in this great sport. Whether you or I think so, or think that's a good thing, is very subjective, but it's how wrestling has changed and evolved. But that place doesn't need to be at the top of professional wrestling. You can have your fun with them, you can enjoy them when they appear on TV, but let's just leave them at that. Fun things to see on the TV every once in a while, not world champions. And on that note, that's gonna do it for the video, everybody. I hope you all have enjoyed this one, and I hope I didn't make anyone too mad. I like to think I'm being very fair and respectful to the meme wrestlers of today, and I want to be very clear. They have a place in wrestling, but you've been listening to my thoughts on it for a while. Now, I want to hear from you in the comment section down below. And also, while you're down there, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, where we're always talking graps. Thank you all so much for watching once again. It's been Novi. Much love to you all. Peace.